Carolina Insider is presented by Wells Fargo, official sponsor of Carolina Athletics.
Happy New Year, and we're back here on the Carolina Insider. I'm Jones, he's Adam, and after a couple of weeks off for the holiday season, we are re-energized and ready to go here through the stretch run of the winter and spring sports in Chapel Hill. So excited that you have joined us today as well, and we've got a great show coming up. We're talking Orange Bowl, we're talking Carolina basketball, we have a loaded social drive as well, plus a terrific interview with Walker Kessler, Tar Heel freshman, big man on the basketball team. And speaking of big men, Adam Lucas is sitting to my left. Adam, hope you had a great holiday, and part of that holiday was the Orange Bowl for Tar Heel football.
Wish somebody would have told me that we were off these last 2 Thursdays. I've been here. I've been doing the show by myself. It was great because I got to say whatever I wanted, but I don't think it went out on Facebook or Twitter because I kept pressing refresh and it wasn't there. The Orange Bowl, what a highlight, what a night for Carolina football. Obviously didn't end the way the Tar Heels wanted, but everything other than the outcome, it feels like Carolina football got out of that game what it needed. It got a national showcase. It got basically an exclusive window of a national television commercial for Carolina football. Young players played well. Big name players who played well. I think the Tar Heels got what they needed in their first ever Orange Bowl appearance.
And Adam, some really exciting moments, with some of those young players. Josh Downs had 2 touchdowns in the game. Eugene Asante making just his second start as a Tar Heel and his first without Chaz Surratt as a part of the team. And he was all over the field. 16 of the 17 players who made a tackle are coming back next season for Carolina football. So, it was a loss on the scoreboard, but it felt like a win for the evening for Carolina.
Really excited about that defense. It felt more like maybe a preseason game for the 2021 season than a postseason game for the 2020 season, if that makes any sense. The defense did give up 41 points, but I think you saw enough individual success there to feel like that's a group that's going to be good. And I think on the offensive side, of course, you already knew about Sam Howell, but that offensive line that opened up such great holes for Javonte Williams and Michael Carter all season long proved they can do pretty similar things without them carrying the ball. And they're all coming back next year. So I think a lot of excitement on the offensive side as well, but the focus, of course, will be on the defense.
So, Adam, that does conclude the 2020 Carolina football season. Mack Brown on social media this week reaching out to Carolina fans. It's been, of course, a unique season for everybody in college football, but Carolina so excited about the present, the future, and of course, Tar Heel fans are a big part of that.
Man, how nice would it have been to be able to have full houses at Kenan Stadium for this team? Coming off last year when every seat was sold, would have loved to have had everybody there, but certainly looking forward to next year. Got a great schedule.
Sam Howell had a solid game in the Orange Bowl, including 3 touchdowns. And Adam, those 3 touchdowns now has Sam Howell up to 68 for his career. As you see there on the graphic, that already ties him with Darian Durant for the most in Carolina football history. It is also, Adam, the most for any ACC sophomore in history as well. Sam passed in the game against Texas A&M, passed Jameis Winston and Trevor Lawrence to earn that mark, and certainly an exciting time for Sam Howell. His career continues to be a special one.
I know it's a different era of football, but if you had traveled back in time to the Darian Durant era and said, someone's going to come into Chapel Hill and throw the same number of touchdowns as Darian Durant, but he's going to do it in 2 seasons,
yeah.
I would have thought that person was probably sent from Mars or something, but here we are, and he's got a whole nother year to put that record out of reach.
30 touchdowns this season for Sam Howell, tied for the second most ever in a single season for Carolina, well behind the leader in that category, Sam Howell, from last year when he had 38 for the Tar Heels. Adam, Javonte Williams was not a part of Carolina football in the game against Texas A&M due to opting out, along with Michael Carter, Chaz Surratt, and De'Ami Brown. But certainly Javonte had a terrific year for Carolina. We know that. And even though he was not a finalist for the actual Doak Walker Award, which is given to the top tailback in college football, Pro Football Focus named Javonte Williams their Doak Walker winner. He has had such a great year.
How? How is he not on the finalist list for that award? You know what, Jones? He's got a chance at winning a potty, So I think perhaps that Doak Walker Award might not be as important on his shelf anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Don't you worry. There's a golden goose coming to your shelf soon, Javonte Williams. Adam also mentioned this was the last game of the year, but with football, it really is a year-round thing now. And I thought this post from Carolina football after the game, it said just the beginning. And that's kind of the feeling right now. And you can see this is a team that was very, very close. I believe that's Brian Anderson who's in the embrace with Sam Howell. And man, it's just, yeah, it didn't go the way you wanted, but you don't feel like that was a period. You feel like it was a ... for Carolina football.
Two former podcasts, another thing about that picture that stands out, man, the throwback uniforms look great in the Orange Bowl.
Also, some good news for Carolina when we're talking about this upcoming season that they learned this week that their starting tight end, Garrett Walston, will be back. Originally, Garrett had not said that he was going to take advantage of the extra year provided by the NCAA due to COVID, but now Walston changing his mind. He will return. Terrific news to give you a veteran at that position for Carolina next season. Also, Tamon Fox, Mac Brown said on Monday that Tamon is still considering it, that he may return as well. Of course, earlier, Tyrone Hopper, Bo Corrales, Grayson Atkins all announced that they would also be taking advantage of that extra year of eligibility and returning for Carolina. So some exciting news there. And one guy that we know is returning, somebody that we talked about a little earlier, Adam, that is Sam Howell. And Carolina football putting out this social media post this week. And you don't hear the word Heisman with Carolina football very often. One time they've had Charlie Choo-Choo Justice finish in second place in the 40s. But Adam, I think Sam Howell certainly will be in the national consciousness for that award, at least at the beginning of next season. Certainly Howell and the Tar Heels have a lot of work to do on the field to make that a viable option. But I think he will certainly be in the discussion.
You're going to hear the word Heisman a lot over these next 8 months or so as we get ready for that 2021 season, and then attention will shift to the field. But between now and then, if you've got that Carolina social media group putting your candidacy together, you're probably in pretty good shape. That was a good-looking graphic. There'll be lots more stuff to come on Sam Howell.
A long way to go until next season, and a lot of hype to be built, certainly, for Carolina football. All right, let's turn the page to basketball. Before we do that, let me remind you that we're brought to you by Wells Fargo. When our communities need us, Wells Fargo is here to help. So, Adam, Tar Heels have had 2 games in a short amount of time, a home game against Notre Dame, which was scheduled at the last second, and then a road trip to Miami. And look, Carolina's not going to win any style points for either one of these games, but what they did do was win both of the games by a combined 3 points, a 1-point victory. Final shot by Leaky Black in the last 10 seconds earned the win over Notre Dame. Then it was Andrew Platek with a shot going in with 3.5 seconds left to cap a big comeback against Miami. I'm not sure the Tar Heels left either one of those games feeling like they played great, certainly not on the offensive end, but again, did enough to win the game.
Got the wins. Would you rather have last year when Carolina started 1-6 or whatever it was, we've all repressed it from our minds in the ACC, or would you rather have this year where they were able to get a couple last-second victories, executed a couple things offensively and defensively that enabled them to get the win? I think at this point, Carolina's proven they can shoot it from the inside, they can shoot it from the outside, and they can defend. Not yet have they done all those things in the same game. At some point, that's coming. But as of now, they've proven in these individual aspects of the game they can do it. Now, got to put it all together.
I think particularly, Adam, on the offensive end, Carolina's got to get there. I mean, one of the hallmarks of Carolina basketball under Roy Williams has been an efficient and high-scoring offense. And right now, the Tar Heels are neither one of those things on the offensive side.
Well, struggling to just get some playmaking consistently and distribute the ball to where it needs to be consistently. We know Caleb Love struggled, although he hit a big 3 at Miami on Tuesday night late in the game. That was his only made field goal. He and R.J. Davis both, Coach Williams mentioned after that Miami game, have got to stop turning it over so frequently. Carolina just needs to control the ball and figure out what they're trying to do. I think they've gotten a little better at trying to get the ball inside, but that's come at the exact same time that those inside players can't score anymore. So I think if you could get the ball inside and they could score, Jones, I think that would be good for the Tar Heels. And it's happened in pieces. Yeah. It just has to all happen together.
Be interesting to see if Carolina gets a little confidence. After so many close games went the wrong way as far as the Tar Heels were concerned last season, and even at the beginning of this year, to have back-to-back games, close games where they executed down the stretch Be interesting to see, and our next chance to see that will be Carolina and Clemson coming up on Saturday in the Smith Center, a rare home game, just the 4th game out of 12 that Carolina has played. That will be in Chapel Hill. That game time was recently announced for 7 p.m. That had been an either or with a couple of times. 7 o'clock, a good Clemson team, which is 9-1 on the year and ranked, had an overtime victory against NC State earlier this week. So that will be a big time matchup. And Adam, one person the Tar Heels will lean on in that game is someone that has been playing very well as of late, and that's Dayron Sharp. In fact, recognized by the ACC as the freshman of the week last week, had 25 points in the win over Notre Dame, then had 12 points and 16 rebounds in the victory against Miami.
And I think he probably feels like he didn't shoot the ball very well against the Hurricanes, but when you find a way to contribute in other ways, as he did with those 16 rebounds. Now, again, as Coach Williams pointed out, some of those rebounds were him recovering his own misses and then missing again. But the fact that he is so active around the basket, everybody really high on his rebounding potential.
Well, knock on wood here, the men's basketball team has not had too many COVID distractions and COVID changes as far as the schedule is concerned. There have been some opponent changes at the last minute, but the Heels have already played 11 games. Adam, unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the women's program. Boy, it has been just a problem to get a game played. The last 3 games have been postponed for Carolina women's basketball for COVID issues, both within the Tar Heel program and other programs. Their last game was still back on December 20th. That was a victory over Wake Forest, a game that was not on the original schedule, but is on the schedule now, and it looks like it's good to be played. Is coming up, yeah, no doubt, coming up Sunday in Carmichael against Miami.
It's so frustrating because Courtney Banghart's really high on this team and feels like they could be a really good squad, but if you're not playing games, it's hard to get better, and hopefully they can get in some kind of rhythm. The schedule has been just completely all over the place, so it'd be interesting to see what kind of cohesiveness is there by the time they are able to get back on the court again.
Yeah, ACC women's basketball in total has had a lot of schedule problems, and of course on Christmas Day, Duke women's basketball announcing that it wasn't going to play anymore this year. So still a lot of moving pieces certainly out there in college basketball, both on the men's and women's side. One big moving piece for the Carolina men's team, Adam, is Walker Kessler, the Tar Heel freshman. We had a chance to talk to Walker a couple of days ago, and man, we had a blast. What a just good basketball player, of course, but a fun guy as well.
No way you're going to watch this and come away thinking, I don't really like that Walker Kessler. Everything about Walker Kessler is likable, including the fact that he's going to play a huge role at Carolina, probably later this season, absolutely next season, because you can see all the potential is there.
All right, we're going to get to our Walker Kessler interview, come back, and we have our social drive coming up here on the Carolina Insider.
I was talking to somebody earlier today about our guest on today's pod, and they gave him what I thought was a great compliment. They said, I think he might want to win more than anyone else on this year's team, which I thought was a really cool thing to say about a college freshman and our guest, Walker Kessler. So, Walker, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate you having me.
Where does that come from?
Honestly, just being the youngest of the 2 siblings. I've always had a very competitive spirit, just kind of like going with my family, and we've all been competitive. You know, Dad played college basketball, brother played college basketball, sister played college volleyball or sand volleyball. So, you know, like that's just the one thing you can control more than anything, you know, just how much effort you put in. And gosh, I just want to win so bad, and losing against Tech. I mean, I can't stand Tech.
That's right. You got some Georgia lines in your family.
I do. So that was a tough one to lose. But yeah, no, I think that, like I said, that's just the one thing you control is just how much effort, and you know, and I feel like all the guys on the team want to win. You know, we're just going through some tough times right now, but excited we got the rescheduling against Notre Dame. Holy cow. I mean, that 4 days or 5 days dwelling on that one loss would have been tough. So just ready for the next one.
How's this is big picture here. How's it going so far? I mean, it has been a weird year for so many reasons. Yeah, what's it been like?
I mean, there's not really a precedent to tell you.
Right.
It's been weird. It's been really weird, you know. You go to your basketball, do your basketball stuff, you know, stay at the gym, and go to your dorm. You know, that's basically it. So that's been weird, but I definitely think that, like, without the basketball side of it, it would be miserable, just staying. And, like, no wonder students went home.
Sure.
Like I would, too, if I wasn't doing anything else. So it's definitely been bizarre. And I think, like, not having our, pregame, scrimmages and all that stuff has hurt us, especially us being kind of a young team. But I definitely think that we're figuring out. And, like, as you can see, I'm not one for moral victories, but the fact that, like, we always, like, we're losing these games because of, like, just easy turnovers that we can fix and all this stuff. Like, once we figure all that out, I think we'll be fine.
What do you think you've learned basketball-wise these last 5 or 6 months?
The first thing I learned is Coach Williams likes to run, which I'm not opposed to. I think that's one of the strong suits I have is being able to run. And just like you have to respect every opponent you play. It's not like high school where you go against some, like, not to insult high school varsity players, but some, like, schmo that's like
some guys like us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Walker would be warming up and look the other side. Look at those guys over there.
But yeah, like, every opponent can have a breakout game, and I just feel like that's really been the biggest standout to me is just, like, you have to respect every opponent because everyone's at this D1 level. Regardless of what team they're on, they're still on that level being, a competitive player. So
I know you missed a couple of weeks right before the season got started. How tough was that basketball-wise to try to catch back up after missing some key time there?
That was a difficult time for sure. Yeah, that was tough. There's not really words I can say to kind of explain how tough that was, but just trying to go hard as you can in practice and, get your win back, get, like, your mentality back with all the plays. And because there's definitely, and I'm sure y'all could see it, and like in the first couple of games where I was, eyes wide looking around, like, where am I supposed to go? So, just figuring that out. And I think that's been kind of the toughest part about coming back, but now I feel pretty confident.
We were talking the other day. I think you might ask more questions in practice than everyone else put together. How do you think that benefits you? Because a lot of times freshmen aren't willing to admit they don't know, or they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that. Some of my teammates have been talking about that too. And a lot of them are genuine questions because I'm a very, inquisitive person. I want to know. But sometimes I just want a breather. So if I can just ask a question.
Savvy move. That's a veteran move.
Yeah. Just ask a question, get a coach talking, Oh, yeah. Got it, coach. Appreciate it. But no, I do. You can ask anyone I know. I've always not really been afraid to ask questions, admit that I'm wrong on something or, well, I won't say that. My siblings say I'm pretty stubborn, which is probably true. But I've always asked questions.
What's a question you've asked in the last couple of weeks that you feel like whatever the answer was kind of gave you a different outlook on things?
It's not so much a different outlook. It's just, why do we do this? Kind of like, why would I switch on this or hedge on this when I've got someone back? And a lot of it's just going back to, like, you got to trust your teammates, especially on the defensive end. And then in high school, I was always in a position to just, protect the rim. So whatever you do, just protect the rim. So, getting out on screens and hedging has been a big change. But I love it. And, like, being able to trust your teammates, like, they got your back and I've got theirs. It's a camaraderie thing, and, like, it just makes the team better on the defensive end.
You were talking about your competitiveness earlier. I think we've seen that on the court already in this short amount of time so far this season. How do you kind of toe that line of being fiery and competitive but not getting down on yourself if something goes wrong or something like that?
Right. So, yeah, going back to another thing that my family says about me, I'm pretty hard on myself. I'm sure it's not very hard to see on the court. So it's a fine line, because you have so much care and you want to do so well. And, usually I'll just, give myself a clap or like a slap on the floor or something, just kind of release, that frustration and just move on to the next play. Easier said than done, but that's what I try to do.
Gotcha. So there are a lot of big guys on this team.
Yeah.
How does having that large number of high-quality post guys help you in practice? And then what are the challenges of having that many good big guys on the same team?
I mean, going against the best front court in the nation every day in practice has helped me so much. It's no surprise that I'm not the most physical guy looking at me. But, just putting in effort and trying to figure out ways like, okay, this guy's stronger than me. What can I do about, like, can I counter this and just stuff like that. I think the challenges are – I wouldn't say they're challenges, but, everyone's just competitive.
Sure.
So we're just, you're going to get bruised. You're going to get elbowed. You're going at it in the post. And but no, I love going against those guys every day. It's a blast. It really is.
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that you haven't spent a lot of time on the bench in your life. Have you observed anything this year from the different vantage point of not being on the court for 40 minutes in every game that you feel like is either helping you now or will help you down the road?
Right. I mean, looking at Garrison, Mondo, even Dayron, watching them in the game, you can learn so much. It's all about perspective. A person could sit on the bench and be like, dang, like I'm not playing as much as I should. Like I'm just going to sit on here and, just pout or be bummed out. But, I try and look at it as a learning experience, I didn't come here I just came here to get better. Like that was the whole point. So watching them, especially Garrison and Armando, already playing a year and seeing how they move, how they communicate, how they work together has helped me a lot. And it's fun being on the bench and just see it, getting fired up. And, if Kerwin, when Kerwin hit 3 threes against Kentucky or something like 4, gosh, I was so fired up. But nah, I enjoy it. I really do. And I think Coach gets a bad rap for, a lot of people complain about substitutions, not on our team, but about outside of the team, stuff like that. But I mean, he's, it's Coach Williams. He has he has precedent, so. But yeah, I just try to make the best of it.
So Coach said the other day that you were the first player he's ever had that was legitimately 7 feet or above without wearing shoes. He said the first one that he's ever had. When did you realize, I am much bigger than everyone else that I am around most times?
So I was always taller than everyone in elementary school, middle school, all that. But my mom, whenever she would measure us, used to have this index card. And so when she would measure us, she would always keep it inclined. And my brother tells a story how before going to college, everyone said he was 6'9". And when he went to Georgia, they measured and they said, you're 6'6"3/4.
That index card lied.
Right. So I had always taken it with a grain of salt. I don't know if I'm really 7 foot. And then coming here, I got measured at 7 foot. And I was like, oh. We started using a level now. So we got a whole method. We got a whole door frame. We got lines everywhere.
Has it been hard being away from home? I mean, especially just with all the stuff.
Yeah, that's been really tough. I don't know if it's been mentioned before, but I like to eat.
Nice.
I really like to eat. If I didn't have once I'm done with basketball, I'm convinced I'm gonna be 350.
Go for it. Hey, at that point, just go all in.
Exactly. So yeah, really missing home cooked meals.
I'm sure.
Tough. Missing family, of course. Kind of the familiarity with everything, and back home's closed down or locked down too. So it's not that much different, but I haven't been really back home for that long of a time to realize that it's different now. So I just remember, being able to go to restaurants, being able to sit down, be able to go to, church, all the movies and all this stuff. So it's tough, but 6 hours drive, not a terrible drive, hour flight, so not bad.
We appreciate Walker Kessler's time. That interview brought to you by Coca-Cola, which tastes better together. Coca-Cola right here, proud partner of Carolina Athletics. All right, let's get to our social drive as we cruise through social media to find some relevant topics when it comes to the Tar Heels. And Adam, we start with the NFL playoffs. Carolina has 13 Tar Heels on the 8 NFL playoff rosters. Pat James with the tweet to show off some of those Tar Heels, and certainly excited for those guys to hopefully have some success.
Big year in the NFL for Carolina football players. A lot of Tar Heels had success. looking forward to this weekend. Triple headers both days, Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've heard.
The super wild card weekend. And Adam, this past weekend, of course, the final week of the regular season, a lot of Tar Heels finding success. We're going to roll these plays for you right in a row. We're going to start with Antonio Williams, who was called up from the practice squad for Buffalo for the final week. What did Antonio do? Just scored 2 touchdowns and had nearly 100 yards on the ground. Then MJ Stewart. MJ and the Browns locking up a playoff berth with a win over the Steelers. He had a key interception during the game. And then Mitch Trubisky, who's had an up and down year, was benched in the middle of the year, now back as the starter for Chicago. He has led the Bears to a playoff berth and has played well last 5 games, completing 70% of his passes. So let's see some highlights from this past week. We'll start Antonio, then MJ Stewart, and then Mitch Trubisky.
Antonio Williams, look at him charge from the 5 and roll his way into the end zone. Touchdown. 18-yard sprint by the undrafted rookie out of North Carolina. Rudolph hooks a pass. It's intercepted. Picked off by MJ Stewart. And he gets tripped up by Benny Snell.
Robinson in motion that time. He stays in the block, and Trubisky on the rollout, going to heave it deep downfield for Mooney, who makes the catch! Oh, what a grab by Darnell Mooney, who went up and got it. And there is the big play to challenge the defense. 53 yards.
Allen Robinson right there staying in to secure it. You release Darnell Mooney down the field. There he is, number 11. And again, we just touched on this, the ability to throw deep off the boot, off the play action.
So congratulations to all those guys. And the Bills will take on the Colts Sunday at 1. The Browns again facing the Steelers Sunday at 8 p.m. The Bears on the road to see the New Orleans Saints. That is Sunday at 3:40. Oh, MJ Stewart, you almost had a pick 6. Benny Snell had to trip you up there right at the end, but congratulations to all those guys. Adam, also NFL news from the coaching side of things. Arthur Smith, former Tar Heel offensive lineman. He was a GA for Carolina football for a short period of time as well. He's been the offensive coordinator now for the Tennessee Titans the last 2 seasons. And with 6 openings at the head coaching spots in the NFL, Arthur's starting to get a lot of buzz as potentially filling one of those spots.
It's going to be interesting to see how he goes about his career. He's been very methodical, and looks like he will have some choices to make. If he has the opportunity at multiple jobs, he might feel like it's not the right time, maybe not the right ownership situation, because he got a little buzz last offseason, getting a lot this offseason, and you figure that's probably not going anywhere anytime soon. So if the opportunity is not right this offseason, maybe he stays where he is and goes at it again next year.
He'll be involved in one of the more attractive matchups in this wild card weekend. Tennessee hosting the hot Baltimore Ravens. That is Sunday at 1 o'clock. All right, we go from football to football, as Mauricio Pineda signed a 3-year contract for the Chicago Fire, and then also Adam earned a U.S. national team call-up.
I'm sorry, I'm still a little dazed from that transition, but great to see Tar Heels having success in Chicago, and Mauricio perhaps will have another Tar Heel to hang out with in the Windy City.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of Tar Heels on fire in Chicago, one of our absolute favorites, that is Kobe White. He and the Bulls playing well. Let's see a couple of highlights from Kobe here over the last few games.
Back down by 12, they've scored the last 8. Starting 5 out there for the Bulls.
Oh,
Kobe
nice
White,
move.
a little hezzy. A lot of dribbling from Kobe White. He slides back into a 3. Oh yes!
Give me the hot sauce.
That's a tough shot.
Adam, we've seen that with Kobe wearing a different jersey. Great to see him doing Kobe White type of things in the NBA.
He can put the ball in the basket no matter what league it is. We had a big discussion on the audio pod recently. We're on top of the Kobe White brand management, so encourage you to go back and listen to Tuesday's audio pod. We had a little Kobe talk.
On Tuesday night, big game and a big road win, big comeback for the Bulls to beat Portland, and he had 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. Zach LaVine, a big day for the Bulls as well. But a terrific season thus far for Kobe and Chicago. All right, Adam, we are going to the Wayback Machine, which makes me sad to think that this was way back 1993 Of course, Carolina won the national championship that year on the basketball side of things. That included a nail-biter against Cincinnati in the round of 8. This was in the Meadowlands, and Adam found this, called it to our attention for the social drive. Want to let you just listen to a couple of seconds here of this highlight package, and then we'll talk about it, this big win for Carolina basketball over Cincinnati.
Three-pointer, good. 21 in the first half alone. Bearcats up by 15. Second half, Van Exel, Eric Martin. Tar Heels match that. Derek Phelps, the alley-oop. Lynch ties it at 57. Tar Heels up 2. 45 seconds to play. Cincinnati, good defense. Phelps, the bad shot. Eric Montross, stripped. And Terrence Gibson, the other end, will tie this one at 66. 7 seconds to go. And Dean Smith looking to Brian Reese. Drives, dishes, Lynch for the win, and it won't go. The Tar Heels get the ball back as Dean says timeout. 0.8 seconds to go. Phelps looking for Reese. If he puts it up right there or right there, instead he waits till there, and we go into overtime. In overtime, Donald Williams, the pull-up jumper, nothing but the bottom of the net. Carolina up by 6. Van Exel trying to answer at the other end. 1 of 10 in the second half. Only 2 points. Carolina picks up the victory as Nick's father looks on. And Nick, Dean is going to the Final Four, 75-68 in overtime.
So, Adam, this is, I mean, be careful. We could talk about this for a long time here on the Carolina Insider. One of our favorite wins in Carolina basketball history. So much great stuff in that highlight package right there. One, a young and slim Bob Huggins on the sideline for Cincinnati.
No windsuit.
No windsuit, actually in a suit jacket. Donald Williams in overtime, clutch as he was so much in that season, and particularly in the NCAA tournament for the Tar Heels. I did not like to see Big Grits getting stripped there late in regulation.
I think there was some contact.
I'm guessing
That's the only way the ball could be taken away from Big Grits in the paint.
There was probably a foul on that play that didn't get called. But then, Adam, it is such Tar Heel lore that Brian Reese missed dunk at the end of regulation that it is such a big part of Carolina history.
No one really discusses the fact that that entire thing allegedly only took 0.8 of a second. How is that possible? I was counting in my head as the play ran. It was at least 3 seconds. Yeah. But if I remember right, the officials from that game later said that would have counted if it had gone, which Cincinnati should have thrown a fit, but that wouldn't be very Cincinnati-like, so I'm sure they wouldn't have. But just that clip has got everything. I also really enjoy Mr. Van Exel being a little disgusted with Nick's play in the second half.
Yeah, Derek Phelps really locked down Van Exel in the second half of that game. The old tale is that Dean Smith, and we've heard this from multiple people, so we know it's fact, basically drew up the play in the huddle, told Brian Reese not to try and dunk it because he wouldn't have enough time, but he would be open for a layup. Brian Reese did try to dunk it, and of course it didn't go in. Carolina, though, thankfully for Brian and for all of us, won in overtime and eventually won the national title. Adam also found this online. Bobby Jones, all-time great Tar Heel, and I'm sure Larry Bird's excited about that picture there at the bottom right. Bobby Jones, let's watch this. This is a dunk on Larry Bird. Don't think this is the Dr. J dunk, but man, it kind of looks like it when he was a part of the 76ers. You have the vehement and one call from the official. What a play.
Yeah, Ted Valentine Sr. there really giving it the and one. I think of Bobby Jones as a defender, and I think that's largely what he made the Hall of Fame based on, but that was a very impressive dunk.
All right, to wrap things up, Adam, we got this sent to us from Ryan Munster, and I got to tell you, this is pretty impressive. What a way to bring in the new year and celebrate the holidays for Ryan.
See, when Ryan gets bored, he's productive and does cool things, and when I'm bored, I surf the internet.
So look at that golf count. It's got it's got the little compartments for all the different clubs. That's really cool.
Yeah, I could put all my putters in each little cabinet there.
We appreciate Ryan sending that in. You can always send us cool stuff as well on Twitter. We're at Carolina_pod. And what are we on? What's our Gmail address, Adam? CarolinaInsiderPod@gmail.com. You can send us emails as well. Look, we're getting old. We forget things sometimes. What we didn't forget was how awesome this show was and how appreciative we are that you joined us. So looking forward to being back with you next week here on the Carolina Insider.
See you later, Big Grit.